chanting page 2. Yo so bhagava arham samma sambuddho swakhato nena bhagava dhammo supatipanno yassa bhagavato savak sangho kamayam bhagavantam sadhammam sasangham imehi sakari iyatharham arupite abhipujayam sadhuno bhante bhagava suchira parinibhutopi parchima janatanukampa-manasa ime sakari dugati-panakara bhute patiganhatu amhakam digratam hitaya sukhaya arham samma sambuddho bhagava buddham bhagavantam abhivadi swakhato bhagavata dhammo dhammam namassami supatipanno bhagavato savak sangho sangham Admayam buddhasya bhagavato ubhagnamkaram karomasi Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa त्रिरत्न वंदना हंदमयम रतन तय प्रणाम गाथा यो जीव संवीग परिकीर्तन पाठंच मणामसि बुद्धो सुशुद्धो करुणा महन्नभो यो जंत शुद्ध बरयान लोचनो वन्दामि बुद्धं अहम् आदरेण तं धम्मोपदीपो वियतस्य सद्गुणो भग्गपाकामतभेदभिन्नको लोकोत्तरो जो च तदीपनो वन्दामि धम्मम् अहम् आदरेण तं संघो सुखेताभ्यतिखेतसंहितो यो दिट्ठसन्तो सुगतानुबोधको लोलपहीनो अरि सुमेधसो वन्दामि संघम् अहम् आदरेण तं पुण्यं मया यममम सबुपन्दवा माहोन्तु ते तस्य प्रभावसिद्धिया इद तथागतो लोके उपन्नो अर्हं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो धम्मो च देशितो नियानिको उपसमिको परिनिब्बाणिको सम्मोदगामी सुगतः पवेदितो मयन्तं धम्मं श्रुत्वा एवं जानाम जातिपि दुःखा जरापि दुःखा मरणमपि दुःखं शोक परिदेव दुख दो मनस्य उपायासा भी दुखा अप्येहि संपयोगो दुखो पियेहि विपयोगो दुखो यमपीच्छं न लभति तमपि दुःखम् संकीर्तेन पंचुपादान खंदा दुखा सेयतीदं रूपोपादान खंदो वेदनोपादान खंदो संयोगोपादान खंदो संखार उपादान खंदो विज्ञान उपादान खंदो ये संपरिज्ञाय धर्मानु सुभगवा एवलं मूलं सावकीति एवं भागा च पनस्य भगवतो सावकेषु अनुशासनी बहुला भगवती रूपम् अनित्यं वेदना अनित्या संज्ञा अनित्या संखारा अनित्या विज्ञानम् अनित्यं रूपम् अनत्ता वेदना अनत्ता संज्ञा अनत्ता संखारा अनत्ता विज्ञानम् अनत्ता सब्बे संखारा अनित्या सब्बे धम्मा अनत्ताति देमयं कोतिनामः जातिया जरा मरणेन शोकेहि परिदेवेहि दोमनस्येहि उपायासेहि दुःखोत्तीर्णा दुःखपरेता अप्येव नाम इमस्य केवलस्य दुःखकन्दस्य अन्तक्रिया पय्यायेताति चिरपरिनिर्वृतमपि तं भगवन्तं शरणं गता धम्मं च संघं च तस्य भगवतो शासनं यथा सति यथा बलं मनसि करोम अनुपटिपजाम सासानोपटिपत्ति इमस्य केवलस्य दुःखकन्दस्य अन्तक्रियाय संवतति।
हम गिरिमानंद सूत्र का पाठ करेंगे, सुनेंगे जैसी इच्छा है।
Connected to 1+3G.
गिरिमानंद सुत्त।
नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा सावत्थियं विहरति जेतवने अनाथ पिंडिकस्य आरामे। तेन खोपन समयेन आयस्मा गिरिमानन्दो आबाधिको होति दुःखितो बालगिलानो। अथ को आयस्मा आनन्दो येन भगवातेनुपसंकमित्वा भगवन्तं अभिवादित्वा ඒකමන්තං නිසීදී ඒකමන්තං නිසින්නෝ කෝ ආයස්මා ආනන්දෝ භගවන්තං ඒතදෝච ආයස්මා භන්තේ කිරිමානන්දෝ ආබාධිකෝ හෝති දුක්ඛිතෝ පාලනිලානෝ සාදු භන්තේ භගවා යේනායස්මා කිරිමානන්දෝ තේනුපසංකමතු අනුකම්පං උපාදායාති සචේ කෝතං ආනන්ද ගිරිමානන්දස්ස භික්ඛුනෝ උපසංකමිත්වා දස සංඥා භාසෙයාසී ථානං කෝපනේතං විජ්ජති යං ගිරිමානන්දස්ස භික්ඛුනෝ දස සංඥා සුත්වා සෝ ආබාධෝ ඨානසෝ පටිපස්සම්භේය කතමේ දස අනිච්ච සංඥා අනත්ත් සංඥා අසුභ සංඥා ආදීනව සංඥා පහාන සංඥා විරාග සංඥා නිරෝධ සංඥා සබ්බ ලෝකේ අනබිරත සංඥා සබ්බ සංඛාරේසු අනිච්ච සංඥා ආනාපාන සති කතමාචානන්ද අනිච්ච සංඥා ඉදානන්ද භික්ඛු අරඤ්ඤගතෝ වා රුක්ඛ මූලගතෝ වා ශුඤ්ඤාගාරගතෝ වා ඉති පටිසංචික්ඛති රූපං අනිච්ඡං වේදනානිච්චා සංඥා අනිච්චා සංඛාරා අනිච්චා විඥානං අනිච්ඡං ඉති ඉමේසු පංච සුපාදානස්කන්ධේසු අනිච්ඡානුපස්සී විහෙරති අයං උච්චතානන්ද අනිච්ච සංඥා කතමාචානන්ද අනත්ත් සංඥා ඉදානන්ද භික්ඛු අරඤ්ඤගතෝ වා රුක්ඛ මූලගතෝ වා ශුඤ්ඤාගාරගතෝ වා ඉති පටිසංචික්ඛති චක්ඛුං අනත්තා රූපං අනත්තා සෝතං අනත්තා සද්දා අනත්තා ඝානං අනත්තා ගන්ධා අනත්තා ජීවා අනත්තා රස අනත්තා කායෝ අනත්තා පොට්ටම්බා අනත්තා මනෝ අනත්තා ධම්මා අනත්තාති ඉති ඉමේසු චසු අජ්ජත්තික බාහිරේසු ආයතනේසු අනත්තානුපස්සී විහෙරති අයං උච්චතානන්ද අනත්ත් සංඥා කතමාචානන්ද අසුභ සංඥා ඉදානන්ද භික්ඛු ඉමමේව කායං බුද්ධං පාදතලා අධෝකේසමත්තකා තච පරියන්තං පුරං නානප්පකාරස්ස අසුචිනෝ පච්ච වික්ඛති අත්ථි ඉමස්මින් කායේ කේසා ලෝමා නඛා දන්තා තචෝ මන්නාරු අට්ඨි මිඤ්ඤං වක්කං හදයන් යකනං කිලෝමකං පියකං පප්පාසං අන්තං අන්තගුණං උදරියං කරීසං පිත්තං සෙම්හං කුබ්බෝ ලෝහිතං සේදෝ මේදෝ අසුවසා khelo සිංහානිකාලසිකා මුත්තං ඉති ඉමස්මින් කායේ අසුභානුපස්සී විහෙරති අයං උච්චතානන්ද අසුභ සංඥා කතමාචානන්ද ආදීනව සංඥා ඉදානන්ද භික්ඛු අරඤ්ඤගතෝ වා රුක්ඛ මූලගතෝ වා ශුඤ්ඤාගාරගතෝ වා ඉති පටිසංචික්ඛති බහු දුක්ඛෝ හෝ අයං කායෝ බහු ආදීනවෝ ඉති ඉමස්මින් කායේ විවිධා ආබාධා උප්පජ්ජන්ති සේයති ඉදං චක්ඛු රෝගෝ සෝත රෝගෝ ධාන රෝගෝ ජීවහා රෝගෝ කාය රෝගෝ සීස රෝගෝ කන්න රෝගෝ මුඛ රෝගෝ දන්ත රෝගෝ කාසෝ සාසෝ පිනාසෝ දහෝ ජරෝ උච්චි රෝගෝ මුච්ඡා පක්ඛන්දිකා සුලා විසූචිකා කුට්ඨං කණ්ඩෝ කිලාසෝ සෝසෝ අපමාරෝ දදු කණ්ඩු කච්චු රක්ඛසා විතච්චිකා ලෝහිත පිත්තං මధుමේහෝ අංසා පිලකා භගන්දලා පිත්ත සමුත්ථාන ආබාධා සිම්හ සමුත්ථාන ආබාධා වාත සමුත්ථාන ආබාධා සන්නිපාතිකා ආබාධා උතු පරිණාමජා ආබාධා විසම පරිහාරජා ආබාධා ඕපක්කමිකා ආබාධා කම්ම විපාකජා ආබාධා සීතං උන්නං ජිඝච්ඡා විපාසා උච්චාරෝ පස්සාවෝති ඉති ඉමස්මින් කායේ ආදීනවානුපස්සී විහෙරති අයං උච්චතානන්ද ආදීනව සංඥා කතමාචානන්ද පහන සංඥා ඉදානන්ද භික්ඛු uppannං කාම විතක්කං නාධිවාසේති පජහති විනෝදේති යන්ති කරෝති අනභාවං ගමේති uppannං ව්‍යාපාද විතක්ඛං නාධිවාසේති පජහති විනෝදේති යන්ති කරෝති අනභාවං ගමේති uppannang vihinsa vitakkang nādivāseti pajahati vinodeti vyanti karoti anabhāvaṃ gameti uppannuppanne pāpake akusale dhamme nādivāseti pajahati vinodeti vyanti karoti anabhāvaṃ gameti ayam uccatānanda pahāna saññā katamācānanda virāga saññā idhānanda bhikkhu araññagato vā rukkha mūlagato vā suññāgāragato vā iti patisañcikkhati etaṃ santaṃ etaṃ panītaṃ yadidaṃ sabba sankhāra samato sabbūpadi patinissaggo tannakkhayo virāgo nirodho nibbānanti ayam uccatānanda virāga saññā katamācānanda nirodha saññā idhānanda bhikkhu araññagato vā rukkha mūlagato vā suññāgāragato vā iti patisañcikkhati etaṃ santaṃ etaṃ panītaṃ yadidaṃ sabba sankhāra samato sabbūpadi patinissaggo tannakkhayo virāgo nirodho nibbānanti ayam uccatānanda nirodha saññā katamācānanda sabba loke anabhirata saññā idhānanda bhikkhu ye loke upāyupādānā cetaso adhitthānābhinivesānusayā te pajahanto viramati na upādiyanto ayam uccatānanda sabbaloke anabhirata saññā katamācānanda sabba sankhāresu anicca saññā idhānanda bhikkhu sabba sankhārehi attiyati arāyati jigucchati ayam uccatānanda sabba sankhāresu anicca saññā katamācānanda ānāpānasati idhānanda bhikkhu araññagato vā rukkha mūlagato vā suññāgāragato vā nisīdati pallaṅkaṃ ābhujitvā ujung-kāyaṃ panidhāya parimukhaṃ satiṃ upaṭṭhapetvā so sato assa sati sato passa sati dīgaṃ vā assa santo dīgaṃ assa sāmīti pajānāti dīgaṃ vā passa santo dīgaṃ passa sāmīti pajānāti රසං වා අස්සසන්තු රසං අස්සසාමීති පජානාති රසං වා පස්සසන්තු රසං පස්සසාමීති පජානාති සම්බකාය පටිසංවේදී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති සම්බකාය පටිසංවේදී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පස්සම්භයං කාය සංඛාරං අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පස්සම්භයං කාය සංඛාරං පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පීති පටිසංවේදී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පීති පටිසංවේදී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති සුඛ පටිසංවේදී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති සුඛ පටිසංවේදී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති චිත්ත සංඛාර පටිසංවේදී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති චිත්ත සංඛාර පටිසංවේදී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පස්සම්භයං චිත්ත සංඛාරං අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පස්සම්භයං චිත්ත සංඛාරං පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති චිත්ත පටිසංවේදී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති චිත්ත පටිසංවේදී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති අභිප්පමෝදයං චිත්තං අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති අභිප්පමෝදයං චිත්තං පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති සමාදං චිත්තං අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති සමාදං චිත්තං පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති විමෝචයං චිත්තං අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති විමෝචයං චිත්තං පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති අනිච්ඡානුපස්සී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති අනිච්ඡානුපස්සී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති විරාගානුපස්සී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති විරාගානුපස්සී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති නිරෝධානුපස්සී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති නිරෝධානුපස්සී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පටිනිස්සග්ගානුපස්සී අස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති පටිනිස්සග්ගානුපස්සී පස්ස සිස්සාමීති සික්ඛති අයං රුච්ඡතානන්ද ආනාපාන සති සචේ කෝත්වං ආනන්ද ගිරිමානන්දස්ස භික්ඛුනු උපසංකමිත්වා ඉමා දස සංඥා භාසෙයාසි ඨානං කෝපනේතං විජ්ජති යං ගිරිමානන්දස්ස භික්ඛුනෝ ඉමා දස සංඥා සුත්වා සෝ ආබාධෝ ඨානසෝ පටිපස්සම්භේයාති අතකෝ ආයස්මා ආනන්දෝ භගවතෝ සන්තිකේ ඉමා දස සංඥා උග්ගහෙත්වා යේනායස්මා ගිරිමානන්දෝ තේනුපසංකමි උපසංකමිත්වා ආයස්මතෝ ගිරිමානන්දස්ස ඉමා දස සංඥා අභාසී අතකෝ ආයස්මතෝ ගිරිමානන්දස්ස ඉමා දස සංඥා සුත්වා සෝ ආබාධෝ ඨානසෝ පටිපස්සම්භී උත්ථාහි චායස්මා ගිරිමානන්දෝ සම්මා ආබාධා තථා පහිනෝච පනායස්මතෝ ගිරිමානන්දස්ස සෝ ආබාධෝ අහෝසීති ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සුත්ථිතේ හෝතු සම්බදා ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සුත්ථිතේ හෝතු සම්බදා ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සුත්ථිතේ හෝතු සම්බදා
Meditate and listen to simultaneously an exposition by Rinpoche Veeradhammo titled There is Unconditioned.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, very nice to be with you. I was kind of running an idea past my own mind of relating it to Matthew. That I was finding hard to explain this week, but it was significant for me. So the realization that the Buddha offers us, and what I've always been interested in, comes in that statement that we chanted the other day. There is unconditioned, uncreated, unoriginated, unborn, undying, the deathless. If there were not an unoriginated, an uncreated, an unborn, an undying, the deathless, there would be no release and no escape from the conditioned, from the born, from death. All right? So the Buddha offers a kind of, or the Pali Canon offers us a very enigmatic language. There is an unborn, an uncreated, an unoriginated, as a almost like a koan that we should reflect upon in ascertaining what his teaching is pointing to. And I think if you get that wrong, and your mind is always enmeshed in the created, in the conditioned, in that which is born and dying, if your attention is always on those things, then you miss the boat. And our attention obviously has to be attending to that which is created. Like this tent is created, and we're trying to create more coolness in the tent. So it's not a dismissal of the conditioned realm of birth and death. I went to visit a friend in hospital who's dying, and trying to help him through, and then another lady after that who has got cancer and helping her. So we live in conditioned world. These bodies are conditioned, but the liberation that the Buddha is pointing to is not a condition. And it's very, very enigmatic and very difficult to actually understand. So the way it's laid out is that the teaching describes the conditions. So it basically talks about the stream of consciousness that we experience as human beings. So we have visual forms, we have audio forms, we hear birds, our bodies feel heat and comfort and discomfort, we have mental imagery, we smell the incense, we taste food. So the conditioned realm is a sense realm. We experience the conditioned realm through the senses, obviously. And we interpret the sense realm through our perceptions, through memory. I know that is Thomas, I know this is Matthew, I know this is a deer fly on my neck, and so on. So we have perceptions to help us interpret the world around us. And then we have a whole system of thinking and mental formations based upon emotions, based upon ideas that we have cultivated. And all these are enmeshed together in a flow of conscious experience. So that is our life, flow of consciousness. But is that all there is? Is that all there is? And the Buddha is saying, no, that's not all there is. There's something you're missing here. Now our attention is, if you look at, like when you were just meditating just now, your attention tends to be grabbed by deer flies on your head, the heat, the temperature, a strong memory, an idea of what you're going to do tomorrow, right? And these are the conditions that our attention gets attracted by. And that attraction is both based upon pleasure, based upon habit, based upon displeasure, based upon ideas of what I should and shouldn't be, what I should have and shouldn't have, based upon memory of what I did have and what I want to have, based upon wanting to intensify an experience to make it more pleasant, or wanting to get rid of an experience to get it unpleasant. And all the time, our attention is taken up with conscious experience, with stream of consciousness. And that we need to do that. I'm not saying that you can somehow live as a zombie and negate all that. But is there something else? Is there something that we're missing? And the Buddha's enlightenment says, yeah, you're missing the unconditioned, the uncreated, the unoriginated, the unborn. Because if that did not exist, then you'd always just be bound by stream of consciousness. And then you just try to do the best you can. We're already doing that. We're trying to do the best we can. So if the deer fly sits on my nose, I swat it away. If it's too hot, I try to make it cooler. And if it's too cool, I try to make it warm. So I'm already trying to make stream of consciousness to some extent comfortable, moral, meaningful, aesthetically beautiful, and so on. And then there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's the only thing I'm doing, swatting deer flies and making nice pictures, that's the only thing I'm doing, then my whole life is simply in the conditioned realm. And that's what most of the world does. It devoted to the conditioned realm. I can devote my attention to the conditioned realm in a very altruistic way. I can serve and I can help, and that's good. That brings a good result to the world and to my own heart. Or I can look at the conditioned realm and just try to exploit it and get from it every ounce of pleasure that I can, disregarding everyone else. And that also has its effect. But both, even altruism, if it's simply based on doing good, that is still focused on the conditioned realm. So without being selfish and nasty, we don't have to do that. We have this enigma, this koan. There is the unconditioned, the uncreated, the unoriginated, the unborn. And so the way this morning and last night we were chanting the Anattalakkhana Sutta, the discourse on not self, and that's a particular unique, I think, aspect of the Buddha's offering to us is this teaching on not self. Take your thoughts. When the thinking mind is generating thoughts, which it is much of the time, I think you've noticed, it's generating those thoughts, and there is a feeling that I am the thinker. Yeah? I am the thinker who is producing these thoughts. I am the guy that is thinking too much, or I'm thinking the wrong thing, or I'm thinking great things, or I'm just thinking about various fantasies or stories that come up. But the teaching of Anatta said there was no thinker. And that's pretty radical, don't you think? Who thinks? So the sense of me being the thinker is that I'm this guy, and I'm producing these thoughts. Thoughts of love, thoughts of hate. This guy called Viradhammo. But if you observe the thinking mind, you'll see that the thoughts are simply produced as aspects of moods. It's like a chipmunk has brown fur, and a large gray squirrel has gray or black fur. And a snake has a certain covering, and the deer has a certain covering, a certain kind of fur. And it's the same with the moods of the mind. They not only have feeling component and that, but they also they present themselves in a thinking form. And if you observe, you think you're thinking, but what's happening? You're in a mood of resentment, or a resentful mood is manifesting in consciousness, and that's going to have the form of that is going to be resentful thoughts, and that'll have a sense of me. Why don't they do this, or why don't they do that, or they shouldn't have done this, or they shouldn't have done that. If you have a very lustful thoughts, and you have a kind of lot of lustful energy, then that will have, that'd be nice, or fantasy, or whatever. Or if you have you're creating something, you're building something, then you'll be out there building something. And all the time, these different moods are producing thoughts, or they are thoughts. They're not really separate. It's their character has thought in them. And these are produced just through what we call dependent origination. The thoughts depend on the mood. You don't have really inspiring thoughts when you're full of self-doubt, right? You may think you can put them in there, but you don't. It just comes up as a mood. And so what happens with self-view and the sense of personal identity with thought is you get in there and you try to be the one that's always fixing the thoughts, putting other thoughts in and thinking you shouldn't think that, and then getting caught up in thoughts and so on and so forth. So all the time, your attention is on the conditioned. Even if you're trying to think good thoughts, your attention is still on the conditioned. It's always in, and much, how much of our time is spent in that thinking mode. So what I was trying to offer this last week was that when you have something very predominant in consciousness, like a strong mood, it really dominates, doesn't it? Like if you let's say got a lot of self-doubt running, this really strong mood, and what we tend to do through what we call attachment, grasping, is we just get involved in that strong mood, try to analyze it, try to figure it out, try to get rid of it, try to think other thoughts, but all the time our attention is on the conditioned realm. It's still conditioned, it's not unconditioned. So the teaching of dependent origination is a way of extracting the sense of self from that. What the Pali Canon offers, rather than self-view, it offers dependent origination. It says, these kinds of thoughts arise dependent on causes and conditions. When you are in a good mood, when a good mood is there, that's what arises, good thoughts. When you are in a bad mood, bad thoughts arise. They're dependent originated. And this is the way out of self-view. This is the way out of self-view. If you're thinking and you say, oh, this depends, this thought depends, it depends on what's come before, it depends on the mood of the mind. And then what you do is you begin to question what is not dependent, what is unconditioned. You put that question into your mind, what is not dependent, what is unconditioned. What that does is, rather than going forward into the khandhas, into the stream of consciousness, into thought, trying to sort it out, you no longer grasp it. You don't grab it anymore. You go, well, what's unconditioned? Your mind doesn't grasp it. If you ask that question right now, like let's say if you feel really hot, and you really feel the heat, and then you say, that's dependent. The body heat depends on the temperature in the room. It's dependently originated. It depends. So what doesn't depend? What doesn't depend on the heat in this room? What doesn't depend on bodily feelings? And that's the kind of questioning you need to put into consciousness, not an analytical questioning, but a kind of questioning that really makes you pay attention. What's going on, but not to fix the stream of consciousness, not to get an experience other than the one that is exhibiting itself, rather what is unconditioned, what is uncreated. And if you ask that sincerely, your mind will go silent, because any thought or anything is always conditioned, so it always takes you back to this ineffable silence of knowing the way things are, rather than always be caught in the conditioned realm. So Buddhism isn't about just, I don't see at least, just being a nice guy or a nice gal. That helps. It helps rather than killing people or whatever. But its point is it's not like a psychological becoming. It's not like you're becoming something, like a better person. Being a better person is fine, and I hope you all continually become better people in some way, but that exercise of self-improvement is so often just grounded in this feeling that I should be someone who's different, and then the thinking mind grabs that. I should be someone who's different, bigger, smaller, more beautiful, more skilled, or whatever language you want, and you're still attending to thought, you're still attending to emotion, you're still attending to stream of consciousness. So is stream of consciousness the only thing going on right now? So what do we have in stream of consciousness? I have sound. I can see someone nodding. I can feel a fly on my back. I can have a memory. That's stream of consciousness, right? And that's all changing. And that depends. That depends on all kinds of things. The flies depend on whatever. My memories depend on what I've done. My emotions depend on the kind of a day I had today, yesterday. And that all depends. So this flow of consciousness depends. So what is it that doesn't depend? What is it that's the same after 10 minutes of the fan blowing? What's the same before the mosquito bites you and after the mosquito bites you? What's the same when you feel physically sick or physically well? You know what? What is the unconditioned? That kind of a question is not looking for an intellectual answer. It's bringing us to the silence of no thought, the silence of awareness, and the silence of presence. Because what you know for sure is that there is consciousness. Something's going on, right? There's presence. There's presence. So even when if I move from here to there, if I pick this up, like I would just feel that, right? I feel hardness and so on, and I see the liquid moving in the glass, and I put the glass down, and all of that. What was unchanging in that experience? So when Naomi scratched your chin, or when you moved your knee, or what was unchanging there? That was changing. What's unchanging? And that's presence, isn't it? So presence or consciousness or awareness or knowing, what is that? Well, you can't find that. You can't locate it as an object because it's not stream of consciousness. It's consciousness without the stream, without the objects. It's ineffable. It's being, it's presence, it's knowing, it's awareness. It's the way things are. There's different ways we talk about it. So you can do exercises like that, like do something that requires concentration. So I feel my hand on the glass and I squeeze it. I don't have to break the glass. I don't think I could do it anyway. But in the squeezing, I say there's change. There's change. It was unchanging. And then I move that. So what's unchanging? Right? It's very deliberate. Very, very deliberate. You do that with the breath. Because it's not the breath that's important in meditation. It's the knowing. Do that with a body sweeping. Do that with a visualization. Whatever you want. It's not the object of meditation. It's the knowing, the awareness. Because that sense of presence is the key to the unconditioned. It's the doorway. It's really what's important. And if you think about it, you contemplate that, all conditions, doesn't matter how beautiful, ugly, nasty, fabulous the conditioned realm is, the stream of consciousness is, doesn't really matter, because presence, all of them point to presence. You couldn't have that experience if there wasn't presence. You couldn't have the experience if there wasn't consciousness. You couldn't have that experience if there wasn't knowing. So all conditions point to that. And the only problem we have, really, is we're looking in the wrong place. It's like I'm looking out rather than looking in or noticing. So I suggest that when you have an intense, especially intense feelings, they're actually very good for this exercise. Let's say you have a really intense feeling of dislike for someone, or fear of something. That's a very strong sankhara in the mind. It's very, very strong. Now, attachment just goes hell-bent with thinking. So I think most of us have enough mindfulness to know, oh wow, this is a strong emotion. So the unreflective kind of person just believes in their anger, believes in their fear, follows them, and so be it. So they're slaves to that. But all of us have enough sense of distance and perspective to know this is an object. You can see if you can't do that, if you can't see stream of objects as objectively, then you're toast. Then that's all you got. You get stream of consciousness. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it's just muddling along. But because we can be objective, we can say that is a mood. We can do that as a thought. We can do that. We can do that. Then if you have a really, really difficult mood or strong mood, can you remember just to kind of really feel the mood and notice the thinking and all that and say, what's not the mood? What's unconditioned? What's not dependent? What is dependently originated? So you ask a question which is no longer engaged with trying to fix your mind. Because that's what we're often trying to do out of very good intention. It's very good to try to do that. So we're always trying to fix things. How many years do we have to fix it, right? But what if it's okay? What if it doesn't need fixing? The plumbing needs fixing. If you break your leg, you better put a cast on it. Yeah. But maybe the whole object is not to fix things, to be correct in some preconceived Buddhist, non-Buddhist way, but just to know that the stream of consciousness is this way. And that the object is not to fix it, but just to know it as something that flows and changes, and that points always to the unconditioned. And that's a different exercise. So certainly we have exercise to try to fix things. So if I'm rampantly angry all the time and abusive, then we have social norms, we have norms around right speech, and the attempt to be more kind, which is great. But what happens oftentimes is when we're always just trying to substitute or put something else in, we never let things cease. We never let a mood cease. It never really ends because we haven't really allowed it to be fully manifest in consciousness. And what happens is we don't like when you do this kind of exercise. What is unconditioned? What you find is because you're not trying to fix it anymore. You're not just engaged in it all the time. Your body releases it. You find that that whole idea of trying to fix your mind is a little tension. It's not me doing whatever I do, doing Buddhism or doing self-help. But it's still a kind of me doing something to the conditioned realm. But what I find is that if I put that kind of questioning to myself, what is unconditioned? Now, my mind, my desire mind will seek something called the unconditioned. That doesn't work. Because there's no condition you can find. It's not something you find. But just the very question, what is right now? Because if it's unconditioned, uncreated, unoriginated, unformed, not a matter of time, not born, not dying, it has to be always here and now. It can't be in the next meditation or 10 minutes from now in some future. It has to be here and now. So something right here, immanent, transcendent, has to be. You have to get to that sense of this practice is not a time-bound practice. I'm not trying to do something become something later. But rather, I'm allowing an inquiry which takes me deeply into the present moment. Very, very deeply. By what? By a question. So right now, what is unconditioned? So I hear the fan. What is unconditioned? What is unoriginated, unformed, unborn? And the mind begins to know space. It knows silence. And these are ineffable. They have no limits. They have no boundaries. When we talk about the dhatu teaching, the element teaching, we talk about earth, water, fire, and air. And that was the way in physics in the time of India that you talked about the material realm, earth, water, fire, air. But we also talk about consciousness and space. And consciousness and space are unlimited, unbounded. And our attention tends to be very bounded by our thoughts and our emotions and our self-definitions and our bodies and our histories, or our hobbies or our passions or our political views or non-views or whatever. So our attention is very much bound and it doesn't know the unlimited. And so the suggestion then is, well, you do exercises like, does consciousness really have a limit? Can you find an edge to consciousness? And that's not, again, it's not something you try to figure out. Just consciousness, where's its limit? I can't find a limit. I just know there's consciousness. Or space. Is there a limit to space? There's trees, which limits my visual perception, but is there a limit to space? And you start to do exercises like this to release this constant attention on the conditioned realm. This constant kind of engagement with thought and with emotion, and you begin to just say, what is always here, no matter what is changing? And that kind of questioning begins to create what we mean by non-grasping. And then in non-grasping, the karmic result, like in Ajahn Chah's teaching that we read this morning, the karmic results come up, the resentments or the fears and so on, but now they, because one isn't engaging in them, one isn't attached to them, right? What happens is the body begins to relax with them, and they come through the body and they get liberated from consciousness because there's no longer this trying to fix it. But if we don't do that, well, I think what happens is our sense of self gets in there, tries to fix it, and they never get liberated. And this can be uncomfortable. You can feel quite queasy in the stomach, or your heart can feel really contracted, or you can have an outpouring of resentful thoughts. And that will run its course if one allows it to run its course. But we tend not to be patient enough. We tend not to trust in this deep, deep sense of presence, deep, deep sense of it's all okay. And it's not our task now to sort it all out, because our task is the uncreated. It's a relief. You think you don't have to be the perfect personality. I mean, I can make a fortune on that. You don't have to be sweet and nice and kind, but you can have those feelings. On action and speech, yeah. We have protocol, we have etiquette, we have good karma in terms of the way we relate to each other. But to be a person who never feels crappy, or who never feels just totally fed up with your partner, wife, or monastery, or the abbot, or who always just thinks the most sweet thoughts about all poor people, rather than that bum, why doesn't get a job? Or, it's like this kind of, we can get very, very PC, wet, perfect kind of ideal mind, but we're not. We have, like, I want to kill this fly. These are impulses that come up. I'm an animal. I have an animal body, right? I've got memories that stored up that, come up, stuff from childhood come up, and I feel bloody-minded sometimes. And now, is that wrong? Is life just this kind of smarmy soap opera but it's not, is it? What is the reality of life is that as much as you would like to be a kind, sensitive, generous, wise, caring person all the time to everyone, in every situation, till death do you part, it doesn't happen. Why? Because it's natural. It's natural to feel negative things. Now, what happens, so a negative thing comes up, like in a monastery, or towards your teacher, towards a fellow monastic, towards your partner, towards your kids. Is that the problem? Is the nasty feeling the problem? If you act on it, yeah, that's going to be a problem, because that's going to create more of that, and socially it's going to be not good. So action and speech, we always say, no, act in a good way, live morally, try to be sensitive to people, try to help people. But the impulse to hurt, the arising of negativity, is our practice one where we're always trying to be people who never have these impulses? If that's true, we're in trouble. But if our practice is non-grasping, and living a moral life, and living a life of sensitivity as much as possible in the moment, and the task is the unconditioned, realize the unconditioned, realize the unconditioned, then all conditions can point to that. So even a really horrible state of mind, if you have the willingness and patience to say, well, what's uncreated here? What's unoriginated? What was there before that horrible thought came up, and what's there afterwards? You start to abide with that, then the horrible thought manifests, but it manifests in a much more kind of distant way. It's not kind of in your face anymore, grabbing your heart. It's like, it's this movement. And because now you understand non-grasping, that movement has a chance to fully mature in your body as well as your thoughts in your body, and it gets liberated, and your mind is relieved and released. And this is the ideas of Nirodha, the cessation of these things. The craving mind doesn't want that. The craving mind, quite often our craving mind has this kind of self-identity that I shouldn't have these things, and it creates all kinds of problems. But non-craving, non-becoming, knowing, these are the watchwords of the transcendent path. If we don't have the transcendent path, then we're not, we don't have Buddhism. We have humanism, and we have good psychology. These are good things, they're not wrong. But to me it seems the Buddha's teaching he wasn't the ultimate therapist, as someone once said. That it wasn't like rearranging the psychological content of your mind. It's seeing that all content flows through causes and conditions, and there's the unconditioned, the uncreated. So I'd ask you to try that, give that a go. Like next week, at one time when you might feel a bit upset, in case that happens to you, and then rather than make it a problem, can you ask yourself, well, what's unconditioned here? What's uncreated? Because the strength of the arising, of the emotion arising or the memory, whatever, grabs all your attention. And it's a kind of interesting focus. It's a focus on the condition. But now what you're doing is you're taking that very consuming part of this emotion and you're actually reversing it, and you're using the intensity to say, well, what's not intense? Or what doesn't arise and doesn't cease? And it's brilliant, because then you begin to say, oh yeah, there's the knowing, there's awareness. And then you train in that, And what you'll find is then your sense of the path becomes much, much more in the moment, rather than sorting things out for some later experience, for some kind of later experience. So from the Pali Canon, when people ask, we say that thoughts are not self, emotions are not self, and then people ask, well, yeah, but it's happening. We say, yeah, it's happening, but it depends. It's dependently originated. There's the body the body that comes through this conscious experience is a 70-year-old body, and it has certain feelings and certain history and so on. That's all. The memory forms that come up, conditioned by life in Toronto or life in New Zealand, they depend. They come up because they're dependently originated. But the sense of me as a person in there, the Buddha said, there's no person doing this. And that's very radical. I'm not doing my own suffering. Suffering depends on causes and conditions. And so the way out is not so much of a doing as an awakening, more like a awakening to truth. This is the way it is now, rather than doing something so that you're not this in a future tomorrow or whenever. And then things do work out. Fears and desires, they all do cease, because there's no longer identity. There's identity with silence. Or identity. Say there is silence. There is peace. And the letting go of identity to this flow. Then there's flow too, which is all right. Flow of consciousness. That's all right. So I would be encouraged in your practice not to worry if you've got, kind of unpleasant emotions or ugly emotions. And it's no one's fault. Not a problem. If you can be patient and allow it to be just as it is. That's the secret. It's always patience. That's really the secret. So when they come up, then we say, oh, I have to do something. No. What's unconditioned? And the doing is like trying to change the conditions. All right? I'll leave that for your reflection.
Namayang Dhamakataya Sadhukarang Dadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodam.
करुणा ब्रह्म विहार का अभ्यास करते हैं। करुणा का आलम्बन, जैसे अब हम जानते हैं, दुखी प्राणी जो इस समय उनकी बहुतायत है विश्व में, देश में, हमारे शहर में, हमारे पड़ोस में, तो वो आलम्बन रख के मन को व्यथित नहीं करना, ये इच्छा जगानी कि ये सब इस दुख से बाहर आएं, कन्वेंशनल लेवल पे भी बाहर आएं और एब्सोल्यूट लेवल पे भी बाहर आएं। तो करुणा को प्रस्फुटित करने के लिए आए हम चैंटिंग करते हैं थोड़ी सी, जो आटानाटी की हमने सिलेक्ट की हुई है। वचसा मनसा चैव वन्दामे ते तथागते शयने आसने ठाने गमने चापि सर्वदा सदा सुखेन रक्षन्तु बुद्धा सन्ति करातुवं ते हितं रक्षितो सन्तो मुक्तो सर्वभयेन च। सर्वरोगविनिमुक्तो सर्वसन्तापवर्जितो सर्ववैरमतिकन्तो निवृत्तो च त्वं भव। तेषां सच्चेन शीलेन कान्ति मेत्ताबलेन च तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च। रथिमस्मिन् दिशाभागे सन्ति भूता महीधिका तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च। दक्षिणस्मिन् दिशाभागे सन्ति देवा महीधिका तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च। पश्चिमस्मिन् दिशाभागे सन्ति नागा महीधिका तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च। उत्तरस्मिन् दिशाभागे सन्ति यक्षा महीधिका तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च। विसन्धतरट्ठो दक्षिणेन विरुलको पश्चिमेन विरूपको कुबेरोत्तरं दिशं चत्तारो ते महाराजा लोकपाला यशस्विनो तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च सट्ठा च भूमट्ठा देवानागा महिद्दिका तेऽपि तुम्हें अनुरक्षन्तु आरोग्येन सुखेन च। करुणा का भाव प्रस्फुटित होता है, फिर हम शरीर की ओर देखते हैं। सारा शरीर और मन दोनों करुणा से भर जाते हैं। शरीर के अंदर उस भाव के अनुरूप वेदना होने लगती है। तो स्वतः ही होगी। अब हम पहले अभ्यास कर चुके हैं। अब मैं सुझाव दूंगा कि कोई एफर्ट ना करें, शांति से थोड़ी देर बैठ जाएं। करुणा का चिंतन जो हमने किया है उस पर विचार करने की आवश्यकता महसूस हो तो कर सकते हैं, वरना धीरे धीरे करुणा का जो भाव है वो सारे शरीर में उसी अनुरूप वेदना प्रस्फुटित करेगा। थोड़ी देर शांति से बैठ जाते हैं, कोई एफर्ट नहीं करेंगे, कोई इधर उधर ध्यान नहीं देंगे, अपने आप उसको सफ्यूज़ होने देते हैं सारे शरीर को, करुणा की तरंगों को। मन और शरीर करुणा से भर जाए तो फिर उसको रेडिएट करते हैं बड़े सहज रूप से, कोई एफर्ट नहीं करेंगे, बस मन में भाव लाएंगे और जितना होगा, कई बार तरंगें बहुत सूक्ष्म होती हैं, कई बार स्ट्रांग होती हैं, उससे कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता। एफर्ट ना करें, जोर ज़बरदस्ती बिल्कुल नहीं करें। करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा एकं दिशं परित्वा विहरति। ये भाव मन में लाते हैं कि इस दिशा में जितने भी प्राणी परेशान हैं, दुखी हैं, वे सब दुख से मुक्त हों। तथा द्वितीयं तथा तृतीयं तथा चतुर्थं। इसी तरह से दूसरी दिशा, तीसरी, चौथी, एक एक करके धीरे धीरे चारों प्राइमरी दिशाएं जो हैं, पूर्व पश्चिम उत्तर दक्षिण, उन दिशाओं में करुणा की तरंगे फैलाते हैं। इति ऊर्ध्वं मधोतिरियं सब्बधि सब्बत्तताय सब्बवन्तं लोकं। अब ऊपर की ओर, नीचे की ओर, तिरियम मतलब आड़े तिरछे, सब तरफ अपने लिए और सभी के लिए और सभी लोगों में ये विजुलाइज करते हैं। अपने प्रति भी करुणा और सभी प्राणियों के प्रति करुणा, हर लोक में, हर दिशा में, दसों दिशाओं में। तो हम जैसा अभ्यास करते हैं तब फिर भगवान की वाणी को कृतार्थ करते हैं। करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा विपुलेन महगतेन अपमानेन अवेरेन अव्यापज्येन फरित्वा विहरति। मैं विपुल, महान, असीम, निर्वैर, द्वेष रहित, करुणा संपन्न चित्त से व्याप्त कर विहार करता हूँ। तो थोड़ी देर इसी तरह से विहार करते हैं। को रोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव सुखी दीर्घायुको भव सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादयामि।